Israel now. And so this is the first part of our first video for you. The Jordan Mountains are in the background, and the Judean desert is here behind us. We're at Qumran. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. We're going to go down to one of the caves, and we're going to talk about the Dead Sea Scrolls and more about what that means. Over in the distance, we have the Bedouin on their donkeys. We're several hours up into the mountains, back in the Judean desert, kind of giving the Bedouins a little bit of distance between us. We'll be back in just a few minutes. I'm going to tell you all about what we've been doing while we've been here for the last few days. And this coming Wednesday, we'll be halfway through our trip and back home towards you. So I'll be back in just a minute with more from one of the caves at Qumran.
And here we are in the Sea of Galilee, looking south up from the Mount of Beatitudes, Linda and I at the beginning of our trip with the tour. Rare waterfalls in Israel, very rare. Consuelo loved us so much she stuck her face in her camera. We were at Caesarea Maritime, and yes, after 3,000 years, they're still fishing in the Mediterranean. There's the En Gedi, Linda in the little white jacket. That's what it looks like without rain. You saw what it looked like with rain. The wildlife was out that took a keen interest in Linda. It was amazing. We left from there and had a meeting that night with Ehud Barak, the former Prime Minister of Israel. That's our guide on the right. You're going to hear more about him later. What a special treat that was. If you haven't guessed that, that's the Temple Mount and the Dome on the Rock, Al-Aqsa Mosque. What a rare treat to be up there on the Temple Mount. You'll see that I'm standing away from the Dome on the Rock because Jews and Christians don't know where the temple was exactly, and so we don't want to step on holy ground. We'll step away. Linda and I rented a car, and we drove down south to an amphitheater way down south near the desert. There she is in a wonderful Greek goddess pose. The Crusader Church, back in the amphitheater, she found a special coin. We're going to bring it back to you. Look at those crosses, 1,100 years old Crusader crosses. We walked way down beneath the church into dark caverns. It was an exciting time, trust me. In Israel, you got to have breakfast, 3% milk. See that? 3%? Strange. There we are at the Courthouse Cafe, overlooking in the Jewish Quarter, overlooking the Temple Mount. We had a special treat outside the city walls. Is a special church, and underneath that church, if you ask the right person, is the Church of Saint Deacon, the deacon Stephen, who was stoned to death. What a wonderful trip! Look what he's got in his hand, a censer. Our Stephen handles the censer. That's incredible. Friday night, Shabbat. In the apartment. The apartment is so big, I took a picture of the bathroom from the outside because you can't fit the camera and me inside at the same time. That's how big it is. Carolyn, our new special treat because of you, pistachios we eat every day. Back in Qumran, the caves, was an incredible trip. There are the caves where we're way up in the mountains. They found the Dead Sea Scrolls. Bedouin off in the distance. We're off in the middle of nowhere. Linda and I are. It was a war zone. There's ammunition laying around in different places, including ammo boxes, there you can see. And so it was an incredible time that we had. Linda sitting up high on the mountain on a rock overlooking the Dead Sea. It was a difficult hike. That's fire and brimstone, Sodom and Gomorrah. That's brimstone. Wait. Here it comes. Brimstone laying all over the place. Fire and brimstone from the time of Abraham and Lot. It wasn't an easy hike up or an easy hike down. We finished, headed back to Jerusalem at the checkpoint.
So that was our trip to Israel with the tour group, what we've been with everyone else, and then the last several days we've been on our own, driving in Jerusalem. That's been interesting. Last night we celebrated Shabbat at home. It's Saturday, and so this is our first video for our time for you on Sunday. It's one of the smaller caves. Maybe someone stayed here, or the animals. There are a lot larger ones, but it looks like it might rain, and they tell us that one of the places that you don't want to be is in these canyons when a flash flood comes. So we're not going to spend a lot of time getting to some of the other caves. But one of the things I'd like you to look up about the Dead Sea Scrolls at Qumran. It's taken me several times before I've really begun to understand the importance and the depth and the meaning of those scrolls. They say that John the Baptist perhaps assisted and came here before he began his ministry, out into the wilderness like this. But when they found out about the Dead Sea Scrolls, that the Old Testament and all those scrolls that they contained is almost 100%, is 99%, actually 98.5% they say, 99% the exact same as the Old Testament that you have in your Bible today, and those scrolls are over 2,000 years old. That ought to give you confidence that the Bible that you have, that you can count on it for its accuracy, that it hasn't been tampered with, it hasn't been played with over the years, like all the naysayers and the critics want to say. Linda and I are having a very deep spiritual time. We'll finish several more days in the Jerusalem and the southern Judean area. We'll be at a kibbutz in the next couple of days, and then we'll head to the Mediterranean for the Jezreel Valley and the Valley of Sharon, Mount Carmel where Elijah called down fire from heaven, Caesarea Maritima, one of my favorite places where Paul was imprisoned and King Agrippa said, "Are you going to convert me to Christianity?" I pray that you know how much we appreciate your support back home, that you understand that we care for you and that we love you, and we couldn't be here if it wasn't for you. So may God bless you and keep you, and shalom.